John, great to have you back on the show. So we came here to the Red Sea and we are seeing the outcome of the work that was accomplished in the past few years. Now we expect 3 hotels to open this year, run by Six Senses, by St. Regis, and also by the Ritz. So when exactly do we expect the first visitors to come to the Red Sea project?
The 3 resorts are already in the process of soft opening, as they call it. And so we've already started to receive guests at the Six Senses, for example. Their reservation systems are now open on St. Regis and Six Senses. We're already taking bookings. And the first guests will start to arrive towards the end of this month. So the end of October, we'll have our first guests staying at Six Senses, and probably later November, December time for St. Regis. And Ritz-Carlton will probably slip into next year. But you know, it's a super exciting time for us. Our airport has just opened. We've just had our inaugural flight, which was super exciting, and a super proud moment for me personally, but also for the whole of the Red Sea team.
What do you expect as number of visitors in the first year of operation?
So the first year is a relatively slow ramp up, as we're only opening up the first 3 resorts, which will amount for 250 rooms. So not large numbers, but when we open the first phase at the end of next year, we will expect something in the order of 350,000 guests at the Red Sea and around 100,000 visitors a year at Amala.
And you mentioned the airport. Up until now, we have seen 2 bi-weekly flights from Riyadh. What's next? When do we expect international flights to come to the Red Sea airport?
Well, so later this month, we're going to end up with 5 flights per week, mostly serving Riyadh and Jeddah. And then later in this year, we will open up flights to Dubai.
And after that?
Well,
what's the capacity of the airport?
So the airport's designed for a maximum of 1 million passengers, which is driven by our ecological ceiling. So we limited development, so we didn't want to build too much so that we damage our precious environment. So in terms of the buildup of international travel, that'll be sort of closely following the ramp up of openings of resorts, because it's a chicken and egg situation. You don't have flights unless you have people, and so I think as we open up the full first phase, when we have 16 hotels, 3,000 rooms at Red Sea, I think that's when we'll start to see some international flights, more frequent flights, let's say, beyond Dubai.
What's the progress on Amala so far? What's projected is for the project to finish by 2027, first phase in 2024 with the openings of 8 hotels. Is it on track?
Absolutely. So we have 8 hotels on track right now. We're already planning and designing the second phase of that first Triple Bay project, which is the anchor, if you will, of the whole of the Amala project. The marina, which is going to be a spectacular marina, we're going to flood at the end of this year, so we're completing the enabling works for that. We've just signed a deal with the Monaco Yacht Club to manage the yacht club for us. So everything is on track. By the end of next year, we'll open in 2025.
John, up until now, the business model that we have seen from the Red Sea Global is you build the hotels and you invite international operators. And that means there's a lot of investments from your side. Would that change moving forward?
I mean, yes. I mean, the model today, when you have a project such as Red Sea and Amala, these are, groundbreaking projects, and introducing a new industry in a country that has historically not been opened up to international tourism. So it needs that initial input from the Public Investment Fund in this case to really make these projects a reality. But as we move forward, private sector involvement will increase. In fact, we already have private sector involvement. We've signed our first deal a year or so ago with a large family interest to co-develop the Jumeirah Resort on Arshura Island. We're about to announce another signing. We're doing a deal on the Four Seasons Hotel. So whilst we don't need capital today, bringing in the private sector alongside us validates the overall business model, and that will only increase as we move forward. And that's not to say we won't look at other public market offerings, where we will look to. So we haven't decided on the exact route, but there could be an initial public offering. It could be the establishment of REITs or funds. We might even consider green bonds. We've already raised, as I'm sure you're aware, a 14 billion green loan facility a couple of years ago to fund the first phase of Red Sea, and we'll be coming to the markets probably fairly soon on Amala to do something similar.
So IPO probably for both Red Sea and Amala?
Possibility. It's not the only option that we're considering because there's many different ways that we can fund the future developments of the project. And we want the international community and the domestic market to participate in the future growth of the Saudi tourism industry and of course the Red Sea as well. So nothing is ruled in, nothing is ruled out at this stage, but those are options that we are going to consider.
But not this year, nothing close, like you didn't hire investment banks to do these studies right now?
No, we're having numerous discussions with different investment banks, sort of preparing the groundwork, but as you'll appreciate, nothing is revenue generating today. We're just on the cusp of opening our first resorts. And so in the hospitality industry, you want hotels to be up and stabilized, which typically takes anywhere between 2-3 years to establish that, so that when you go to a public market, you have something that you can demonstrate in terms of the cash flows against which obviously the valuation of the business will be determined.
Can you tell us more about the size of or the cost of the project so far, and upon completion for both Amala and for the Red Sea? So
the overall cost for Red Sea and Amala first phase is somewhere in the order of 110 billion Riyal, which is $27-28 billion. To date, we've spent 30 billion Riyal, roughly $6 billion on Red Sea and $2 billion on Amala to date. So we still have a ways to go in terms of the spending, but that's the overall capital needs for the first phase of both Red Sea and Amala. And upon completion of these projects, the total cost? I think upon completion we'd be looking at doubling that figure, so probably around 200 billion would be the total cost of developing both Red Sea and Amala. And what's the size, in your opinion, of the contracts that you are looking to fund in 2024? Well, in 2024, as I said, we've got the bulk of both first phase of Red Sea and Amala. We've spent 30 billion. We've committed somewhere in the region of 70 or 80 billion. So we still have another 40 billion to go of contracts to award to deliver the two projects. In 2020? Between the balance of 23 and 24, yes. One last question, John. Red Sea Global. Red Sea Global is running now two projects, luxurious projects that focus on sustainability when it comes to tourism. Are you planning to copy this model outside Saudi Arabia? We want to obviously focus first and foremost on the projects we have in Kingdom, but also to take our unique brand of development, which is focused very much on sustainability and regeneration, and export that around the world. And that's what we're actually doing. We're now starting to see deal flow coming from overseas that we're starting to look at. We're not at a point where we're announcing anything, but people are now interested in talking to us about coming and developing different parts of the world. We've got a project in Europe that we're looking at right at this very moment, which I hope maybe one day soon to be able to announce.